Commander Zexthul adjusted his exoskeleton armor as he reviewed the tactical display aboard the flagship Dominion's Edge. The blue-green planet below looked peaceful, almost insignificant compared to the massive fleet of the hegemony that surrounded it. 200 vessels, each capable of glassing a continent, hung in the void like predators circling wounded prey. "Initial scans complete, Commander," reported his aide, Lieutenant Vraktor. "The indigenous species calls their world Earth. Population, approximately 8 billion. Technology level appears primitive, still using chemical propulsion and crude energy sources." Zexthul's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. This would be the easiest conquest in his decorated military career. The hegemony had swept through 17 star systems in the past decade, and each victory had been swift and decisive. These humans would be no different. Their military capabilities, he inquired, though he already suspected the answer. Fragmented into numerous factions. No unified command structure. Their most advanced weapons are fusion-based explosives with limited range. They've barely begun to explore their own solar system. Fraktor's tone carried the dismissive certainty of someone who had seen this scenario play out dozens of times. "Excellent. Begin the standard protocol. Disable their communication satellites and power grids. We'll accept their surrender within the solar cycle." The first phase went exactly as planned. Hegemony pulse weapons knocked out most of Earth's satellites and crippled power infrastructure across major population centers. The humans' primitive internet went dark, their television broadcasts ceased, and their military coordination networks collapsed. But then something unexpected happened. Instead of the panicked surrender transmissions the hegemony anticipated, Earth went silent. Not the silence of defeat, but the eerie quiet of a predator holding its breath. "Sir," Fraktor said, his voice carrying a note of confusion, "we're detecting massive movement on the surface. The humans aren't fleeing to shelters or attempting to evacuate their cities." Zexthul studied the scanner readings with growing unease. Across every continent, humans were moving with purpose, not the chaotic scrambling of a species in panic, but coordinated, deliberate action. "They're organizing," he muttered, watching as heat signatures showed humans forming into groups, moving toward strategic positions, and beginning what looked suspiciously like defensive preparations. "Perhaps they don't understand the futility of resistance," Vraktor suggested. "Should we demonstrate our firepower by destroying one of their major cities?" Before Zexthul could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the bridge. The tactical display erupted with new contacts, thousands of them rising from Earth's surface and its moon. "What in the void?" Zexthul's words died as he processed what he was seeing. The humans had hidden their true capabilities. Sleek fighters emerged from concealed lunar bases. Weapon platforms that had masqueraded as space debris powered up with energy signatures that made the hegemony fleet's weapons look primitive. Most shocking of all, massive ships began rising from Earth's oceans. Vessels that had been waiting beneath the waves like sleeping leviathans. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the surface," the communications officer reported, his voice tight with disbelief. "Put it through." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a human female in what appeared to be a military uniform. Her expression was calm, almost friendly, but her eyes held something that made Zexthul's carapace crawl. "Greetings," she said, her tone conversational. "I'm Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. I wanted to thank you for the wonderful training exercise." It's been quite some time since we've had the opportunity to test our global defense protocols against a real threat. Zexthol's mandibles clicked nervously. Training, exercise? Oh, yes, Admiral Chen continued, her smile growing wider. See, we've been preparing for this day for quite some time. Every science fiction story, every invasion movie, every video game, humans have a fascinating obsession with imagining how alien conquest might unfold. We've spent decades planning for dozens of possible scenarios. The tactical display now showed Earth's true defensive capability. A network of hidden installations, camouflaged weapons platforms, and a fleet that rivaled the hegemony's own. But worse than the weapons were the readings from Earth's surface. The 8 billion humans weren't cowering in fear. They were manning defensive positions with the efficiency of a species that had spent generations preparing for this exact moment. The thing about humans, Admiral Chen explained, is that we're really quite good at learning from our mistakes. And we're absolutely exceptional at learning from our fears. Every time we imagined alien invasion, we got a little better at preparing for it. Zexthul watched in growing horror as his fleet found itself surrounded. The humans had somehow hidden a defensive network that spanned their entire solar system. They hadn't just prepared for alien invasion, they had prepared for this specific type of alien invasion. We studied your tactics by observing your previous conquests, the Admiral continued. The hegemony has a very predictable pattern, you know. Overwhelming force, technological superiority, demoralization through infrastructure destruction, followed by demands for surrender. It works quite well against species encountering interstellar warfare for the first time. The first hegemony. Ship exploded in a brilliant flash as Earth's hidden defenses opened fire. The weapons weren't just advanced. They were specifically designed to counter hegemony technology. The difference, Admiral Chen said as more ships began disappearing from Zexthul's fleet, is that while other species spent their development focusing on exploration, trade, or philosophy, humans spent considerable time imagining ways to kill each other and, by extension, anyone else who might threaten us. We turned paranoia into preparation and fear into strength. Zexthul realized with dawning terror that his fleet wasn't facing a primitive species caught off guard. They were facing a species that had spent centuries mentally rehearsing this exact scenario, planning for it, and building defenses against threats they had never encountered but had imagined in extraordinary detail. "Commander," Vraktor whispered, "perhaps we should consider withdrawal." As if hearing him, Admiral Chen leaned forward slightly. "Oh, but you haven't learned the most important thing about humans yet. We don't just prepare for invasion, we prepare for what comes after. Every science fiction story that ends with successful human defense is followed by a sequel where humanity takes the fight to the invaders' home worlds." The view screen showed Earth's fleet beginning to move outward, no longer content to simply defend, but clearly preparing to pursue. "You see, Commander Zexthul," Admiral Chen said, somehow knowing his name, "the thing that makes humans truly dangerous isn't our technology or our numbers. It's that we never forget a threat, and we never ever let one escape to try again." The last thing Zexthul saw before his flagship's shields failed was the smile on Admiral Chen's face. The smile of a species that had turned its greatest fear into its greatest strength, and was about to teach the galaxy that some worlds were better, left unconquered.